Alright, welcome back everyone. I am an avid herpetologist and I'm coming with another Digimon deck profile today. It's another black deck. You may be noticing a theme. I love playing black in the Digimon TCG. Before I get into the deck list, I just wanted to say a big thank you to all the people who have been commenting on the videos. If I'm being completely open, I really am making these videos selfishly. It's selfish content. I just like talking about my hobbies and thought I would try sharing with the internet, and hearing everyone respond about how much they're enjoying the videos, it's been really heartwarming. So I just wanted to say thank you guys so much, and hopefully you'll continue enjoying the content. We are coming with a very spicy deck today. This is going to be my take on Baihumon blockers, a definitely non-established deck that with all the new support from BT9, basically it's my take on a black blockers deck, which is an archetype that has existed for a while, but I think Baihumon is going to be serving as an excellent win condition for the deck. It also got a lot of really nice tools that help kind of push the deck up and above in the last couple of sets. So we're going to go over what those cards are and take a look at the profile here. As usual, we'll begin with the eggs. We are only running 4, and it is 4 copies of the new BT9 Black Egg Tumblemon. This is the egg that the blockers archetype has really needed since its inception. We've already had an egg that gave our blockers DP on our turn, but it's a blocker, so we'd really prefer to have DP on our opponent's turn, and we finally have that. Tumblemon's inheritable is on opponent's turn. When this Digimon has blocker, gets plus 1000 DP. Basically just makes our blockers bigger and harder to swing through, which you're going to notice is a big theme for this deck. So that's what we're going to be starting off with today. Now we're going to move up into our level 3s, our rookie lineups. You're going to notice very quickly this is basically a ToyAgumon deck, as 3 of our 4 different unique rookies are ToyAgumon. To begin with, we're going to be going over BT6, which we are running 4 copies of ToyAgumon. I actually didn't realize this inheritable existed until I started looking at cards to build this deck. But it's a 3 memory, 2000 DP rookie with an inheritable that says on all turns, when this Digimon has blocker, it gets plus 1000 DP. So just by going right on top of Tumblemon right away, our champion and above blockers are going to be getting plus 2000 DP, which is a pretty good start to the overall theme of the deck. Next up is our BT2, 4 copies of ToyAgumon. This card's been around for a while. You probably know what it does, but it's a 3-drop with only 1000 DP that just gives Reboot as an inheritable. As a blocker deck, obviously getting aggression out there is a little more challenging. We want to be leaving our bodies up to defend with, but giving Reboot is a really good way to do that, especially since we are running copies of Bihuman, and we're going to be trying to protect our Bihuman. He'll let us get some aggression in without leaving himself open. Super cool. Next up is our 3rd and final ToyAgumon, which is going to be the Machine Structure Deck Agumon, and we are running 3 copies. Now this is a really nice card because it's going to be our first major source of card draw. It's really one of the deck's few, if I'm being completely honest with you. Not a whole lot of filtering in here, but this is a 3 memory to play, 2000 DP rookie with an inheritable. At the end of your opponent's turn, if they did not attack with a Digimon, draw a card. So getting multiple copies of this on the field as an inheritable are going to be really nice. Ideally, we are going to have bodies that are so large our opponent either can't or will not want to swing into them. So you'll get to just draw extra cards every single turn. We are only running 3, so we can split with an even 3 of our last rookie. We are running 14 rookies total. The last one is going to be 3 copies of Gotsumon. We basically are running this because it's going to be our very first and lowest to the ground body. It's a 3 to play, 3000 DP blocker. And when it attacks, you do lose 2 memory, just as traditional blockers tend to do. But this is going to give us a quick, cheap, and easy body that we can still buff up quite a bit thanks to a lot of the other DP gain effects in the deck. Plus, by just digivolving it onto Tumblemon, it's already a 4000 DP defender just at the rookie level, which is, it's not huge, but it's, still respectable. It'll help at least stage off rookie aggro, which is kind of neat. All right, moving up to our champions. We are playing 4 copies of DarkTyrannomon. I'm very sad I don't have the new promo artwork for this yet. I'm working on getting a hold of them, but he is probably the best level 4 in this deck just because he is a 1 to Digivolve bridge between rookies and ultimates. He is 6 cost to play, 5000 DP. Once again, has blocker, and has that when attacking lose 2 memory effect. So it's a really cheap Digivolution effect, which is going to help be a little more memory efficient. We are going to be very willing to make some big memory plays, as we'll see a little bit later. But having that really cheap champion level Evo is going to be really nice, helping the deck get aggression and get established quickly, which is definitely helpful with an OTK meta. Next up, we are playing 3 copies of Mekanorimon. Now, in my Machinedramon deep dive video, I talked a little bit about Mekanorimon and how I wasn't a big fan of him in the current format just because I don't think his body is quite as relevant. Well, in this deck, his body is going to be much larger than normal. It's not uncommon for him to get to 8, 9, 10,000 DP, which is going to lock the entire board down by himself very, very easily, especially since we can actually evo into Mekanori on Tumblemon, ToyAgumon. That already is going to be 8,000 without any other effects in play. So he's actually much, much stronger in this particular shell, so I am going to be running 3 copies of him. He is a super good card still. Next, we have 3 copies of Shademon, another blocker. This one, in particular, is going to be able to come out of our security. It is 6 to play, 2 to digivolve, 5,000 DP. Has the security effect where you just play it if it gets checked in security. Can't attack, but again, it does have blocker. So it's a nice little security effect where you can potentially save yourself and survive to another turn. Oh, I should have mentioned the Mekanori effect. I talked a little bit about him, but he does have blocker, of course, cannot attack. The reason Mekanori is so strong is because if he does declare a block and deletes a Digimon in battle, he unsuspends. So as long as he survives, he can basically block infinite times. Super, super strong. Next, our last 2 champion level Digimon. We are playing 12. I'm going to be playing 2 copies of Numemon. So basically, it's exactly what you're probably assuming it's there for. It is only 3 to play, 3,000 DP, so it's very weak for a champion, but also has that 1 Digivolution cost. It is going to be the most effective bridge to let us go from our rookies, or just hard play it and then go straight up into our ultimates. We are doing a lot of very powerful ultimate plays in this deck, specifically with the next card that I'm going to be showing you guys. So having Numemon in here is a great way to kind of bridge up into those without having to give up any blocker bodies. He's basically there to just be a link. You don't want to actually leave him on the board like you would a lot of our other blockers. So next, we're going to be going into our ultimates. We're actually playing 9 ultimates in this deck because, again, we're going to want to leave some of these in play. Specifically, our first playset, which is going to be 4 copies of EX2 Andromon. So this card I wanted to do something with and couldn't find a good home for. When Baihumon came out, I think the home has officially been found. This is a very cool card. It is 8 to play, which is a bit expensive. Has 6,000 DP and is 3 to digivolve. So on the surface, nothing really to write home about, but it does have blocker. It can actually attack unimpeded, although we're not going to want to attack with Andromon super often. It's the other effect that really matters for this deck. On the opponent's turn, all of your Digimon with blocker get plus 2,000 DP. This is where the numbers really start to add up. It's very easy to get multiples of this guy in play, and then the numbers that you're going to be buffing up to on your opponent's turn start to get out of control very, very quickly. This card is super, super strong in a defensive strategy like this, where you're hoping to stall the game out. It's basically going to make sure that your opponent is not able to swing over your biggest bodies, no matter how big they get. In fact, the biggest body in this deck I've gotten to at this point is actually 20,000 DP on one of my blockers. Super, super cool. So he is going to be one of our main ultimates that we're going to want to be leaving in play. But since we want to leave him in play, we're going to need ways to bridge it into our megas. So our next playset of ultimates is going to be 4 copies of WaruMonzaemon. Basically here to do the exact same job as Numemon. He is here to be a bridge. He is only 5 to play, which is, as you guys probably know, the cheapest that you're going to find on an ultimate body. He's the very typical Groundramon stat line of 5 to play, 6,000 DP, 2 to digivolve. So he's going to be the cheapest digivolution cost, the cheapest to on play. He is basically there just to make sure that we are able to get our megas into play, and we do have 2 very impactful ones that we'll be going over in a second. But as I mentioned, we are playing 9 rookies. I have a single copy of Machine Starter Deck Megadramon to finish off our ultimate lineup. So this card has 7 to play, 7,000 DP, 3 to digivolve, and has the inheritable that just gives blocker. As you can probably guess from our deck profile name, we are going to be playing copies of Bihuman, and this card is literally here just because we want to have an extra ultimate body that we are okay digivolving onto. Since we want Andromon to stay in play, I want to make sure that we have at least 5 bodies that we are okay putting a mega over. So he is in here to kind of cover that role, and he seemed the most logical since we are going to be playing Bihuman. Might as well give him blocker to suit with the rest of the deck. On to our megas. Of course, the namesake of the deck, we are actually going to be playing 3 copies of Bihuman. So I wanted to keep my mega count down to 6, and the 2 megas that I am playing are fairly equal as far as value, although they do play different roles. So Bihuman here is a super cool card. It's, in my opinion, debatably first, probably second behind a Zulongmon in terms of playability for the Digimon Sovereigns. He is 13 to play. He does have 13,000 DP, which is nice and high. He's 5 to Digivolve, but it will never cost 5. And that's because of his when Digivolving effect, which is probably, in my opinion again, the strongest of the on-Digivolving effects the Sovereigns have. His when Digivolving effect says, unsuspend up to 2 Digimon and or Tamers anywhere, either your side or the opponent's side. Then you gain 1 memory for each of your opponent's unsuspended Digimon and Tamers. The fact that this counts Tamers really does go a long way, and in my opinion, this is definitely the strongest, as I mentioned, of the Digivolution effects. I have already, in the minimal playtesting I've done with this deck, gone memory positive Digivolving up into Baihumon. This deck produces so many large blocker bodies that your opponent's going to want to be leaving what they're doing in play, and they're not just going to keep passing. They're going to want to keep building board state. Baihumon is the way that we can capitalize off of that. He's also going to be our primary win condition, since at the end of your turn, once per turn, for every 2 unsuspended Digimon and or Tamers your opponent has, trash 1 card from the top of your opponent's security stack. So again, our goal here is basically to build a large, unbreakable body board so that we can drop a Baihumon, and then all of the bodies they cannot do anything with are just going to start draining their security until we can kill them outright. So that's the general strategy of the deck is kind of built around Baihumon and making use of that particular effect. But we do have other ways to win, and that's going to be the king of black blockers himself. We are playing 3 copies of Craniamon. Now, I've not seen this card around in quite a while. I think now is a splendid time to bring this card back into relevance. The big boy here is 13 memory to play. He is 12,000 DP and is 4 to Digivolve. He does have blocker, fittingly for the theme of the deck. This is the card that I got up to 12,000 DP. And he has an all turns effect where all of your Digimon with blocker cannot be deleted by your opponent's effects. This makes your board so difficult to break through. Now, there's still cards, of course, things like Mega Death, Chaos Degradation. There are still removal cards that are going to get rid of our blockers in play. He does not stop everything, but the immunity to destruction effects is so much more relevant than I think a lot of people are going to expect it to be. And this is a card that, honestly, if you really decide to pick up and give this deck a try, don't be scared to hard play this guy for 13. Yes, 13 is a lot of memory, but if you're getting a 12,000 plus blocker that is immune to destruction effects for that cost, what are they going to do with that memory? I mean, it's one of those things where you can actually play a fairly Mega Zoo style playstyle with this deck, and Craniamon is absolutely a phenomenal curve topper for your Megas. He is definitely worth playing, and since he can attack normally, if you do happen to have him on a stack, first of all, he'll get buffs from Tumblemon. He'll also potentially have Reboot from your ToyAgumon, or another 1,000 DP from the other ToyAgumon. So there's just a lot of really cool things to do. Craniamon is a phenomenal card, and he is a no-brainer to include in this deck. Now, I am playing 2 level 7s in this deck as well. We're going to be rounding out our top curve with 2 copies of Omnimon Zwart. Now, I've tried to build decks with Zwart before, and outside of purple, I've never really been able to make him do a whole lot. He is actually pretty phenomenal in this build for a couple of different reasons. First and foremost, the things that he is able to bring in are not just going to be combo pieces, they are massive bodies. So let's say that we've already got some Andromons or any other Ultimates really in our trash. We can Digivolve up into Zwart. For those of you who don't know, he Digivolves for 6. He is 15,000 DP, 15 memory to play. He has a when Digivolving effect that trashes the top 3 cards of your deck. Then you may play up to 2 black and or purple Digimon with play cost of 8 or less without paying their memory cost. So this basically means you can play any Digimon that are at your ultimate level or below. So when you Digivolve up into him, you're basically 99% of the time going to be cheating out 2 more blocker bodies. If you happen to have Megadramon in his stack, he himself will remain a blocker, so he's an extra body himself. It basically is just a go-wide thing that's just going to give you more on-board presence that can be, again, very difficult to get through. But one of the really cool synergies for Zwart in this particular build is how he interacts with Baihumon. So Bihuman, as I mentioned, has that end of turn effect where he trashes security, which is, of course, phenomenal. But he also has that on Digivolving effect that is going to gain you back a bunch of memory, essentially Digivolving him for free. In fact, in one of the games I played, I actually had enough memory in play where I had 5. I was able to hard play WaruMonzaemon from hand, straight up Digivolved into Bihuman for a +1, where they had 6 things in play. So for only 4 mana, or not mana, oh my goodness, 4 memory, I basically just played a Baihumon straight from hand. So you're able to climb up into your Mega level very easily, which lets you go into your Zwart even easier. Having that ability where you're able to go into a Mega for basically no cost and then immediately go back up into a Zwart. There have been games where I have gone Ultimate in play, or in this case, maybe a Craniamon in play, Digivolve up into Zwart. If I have enough memory, you swing with the Zwart. Zwart also has an attacking effect, where you can return a level 6 Digimon card in this Digimon's Digivolution Sources to its owner's hand to delete one of your opponent's unsuspended Digimon with play cost 12 or less. So this is a great source of removal, but it also recycles your incredibly powerful Megas that you can immediately drop back down again thanks to him cheating out your ultimate level bodies. So play as Zwart, get, for instance, a Andromon and a WaruMonzaemon back. If you have enough memory, you can swing with the Zwart, return the Mega that you Digivolved onto to your hand, and then immediately drop it again on top of the ultimate that you put into play. So it's a lot of value. This card is actually really, really cool, and I've really had a good time utilizing him in this particular strategy. Now we're going to move on to our last couple of cards, which are going to be the Tamers. We're actually playing 7 Tamers, pretty high for the decks that I typically play, but we are going to be playing 4 copies of our Memory Setter Black Tai. This should be a no-brainer. Memory Tai has an effect that on your opponent's turn, all of your black Digimon get plus 1000 DP. So once again, a blocker buff. Each one of these that you have in play is going to be a remaining and reoccurring buff that affects your entire board on your opponent's turn. So again, it just helps you get so big that your opponent cannot afford to swing over you. It is also a memory setter, so at the start of your turn, if you have 2 or less memory, you automatically get set to 3. Now, one of the easy ways to get up to 5 memory is through our second set of Tamers, which is going to be 2 copies of Izzy and Joe. These guys are another 4 to play Tamer, but rather than setting memory to 3, they have an effect at the start of your turn. If your opponent has 2 or more Digimon in play, gain 2 memory. Spoiler alert, we are playing big blockers. They're probably going to have 2 Digimon in play, so you're going to get this effect pretty frequently. It also has a nice little gravy effect where on the opponent's turn, if one of my black Digimon would be destroyed, I can suspend this Tamer to draw a card. So it's basically, again, just another little source of advantage. So if we ever, for instance, want to trade like one of our small blockers like Gotsumon, we can trade it off, draw a free card, and then work on progressing our board state even taller on the next turn. Just by having 1 Tai and Izzy in play, you can very easily start your turn with 5 memory, which will let you go into WaruMonzaemon and hard drop one of your Megas without really needing to do any other setup. So super, super strong combo there. And the last 2 cards in our deck, another really powerful tech card, is going to be the 2-drop Tai Kamiya from the starter deck machine theme. So this has an opponent's turn effect, where when you use the blocker effect to suspend one of your own Digimon, you may then suspend this Tamer to unsuspend one of your Digimon. It is important to note that if you suspend a small body, you are able to unsuspend a larger body. So let's say, for instance, that we have a Craniamon and a Gotsumon, both in play. And they go into, let's use Imperial Dramon Fighter Mode as an example. So they go into Fighter Mode, and they've already used the bounce. For the purposes of our scenario here, we still have Gotsumon and Craniamon in play, and they go to attack. When they attack, they suspend down Craniamon, and they unsuspend themselves. In response, what we're going to do is block with our Gotsumon. When we do that, we can suspend this Tai, and instead of unsuspending Gotsumon, who would have died, we can actually unsuspend the Craniamon and then be ready and prevent them from attacking a second time. So this card basically just doubles up a lot of your big blocker bodies, which again, when you're working on building unbreakable boards, it does go a long way. Just having your blockers able to block 1 additional card, it's pretty nice. Definitely a good thing to do. And yeah, it just kind of ties the deck together really well. But anyways, that's going to be it for my Baihumon Blockers deck profile. This is a fun little jank deck that I think you could absolutely steal some small events with. If you're looking for something fun to try out, I do highly recommend that you guys give this deck a run. It is a super fun deck to play. It gets very very tall very quickly, survives OTK decks. So a lot of the testing I did was actually against WaruMon X, and even them swinging at 18, 19,000 with their WaruMon X's, they still couldn't quite get over Craniamon in a lot of cases. So have fun with it. If you guys like this build or have ideas for how to change it up or improve it, feel free to leave those in the comments below. I want to say another big thank you to everyone who's been enjoying these videos. I do this for fun, but it means a lot that you guys are enjoying these along with me. I'm looking forward to posting more fun deck profiles and potentially some more Digimon deep dives. I've got some more Yu-Gi-Oh! And Magic deck profiles that I would like to be making in the coming weeks as well. Eventually, as I get a little bit better with technology, I'm hoping to do some maybe top 10s and tier lists and things like that. So I got a lot of fun ideas that I'd just like to try out, and I greatly appreciate the support from everybody. If we're able to actually make it to 50 subscribers, I would be more than happy to start doing some live streams. I actually had the fun idea to just do some just chatting live streams where I build things like EDH decks and just chat with the stream as I do so. I think deck building is a metric ton of fun. Just going through different card options and building something together, I think would be an absolute blast. So feel free to subscribe, leave comments down below, and as always, live well and have a good night, everyone. I will see you next time.